Okay, jumping back into it. Like, got sound going to OBS. I had to change around the OBS settings to record the meeting. But look back to good. This is just... Oh, I can hear myself. There's mute. Okay. Let's go to here. And right back in. Basically just picking up quite exactly where I left off, but pretty darn close. I did a little bit just a moment ago here before I decided to turn the stream on. So let's this over. All right. And switch this around a little bit. Okay. Okay. So I am working on the clock next. We did this label before. I think maybe I'll still scoot it to the right a little bit. In fact, let me do that real quick while I'm thinking about it. Let's scoot this over maybe 90. Let's see what 98 looks like. All right, that looks better. Yeah, we have some space on the left of it now. It's nice. I think probably what I'll do is ultimately make a scrolling label widget that do the behavior we want here to show longer strings. But actually what I'm working on right this moment is the time. So I have the first one of these labels in here. And you can see I started making a label just like the current song one, but I quickly changed over and turned it into this class clock display. I'm going to delete this, and I'm actually making this clock display class. The reason for this is those 4 boxes are spaced at a very specific interval. And so I tried a single label with spaces in between the digits, but they don't quite line up with these boxes. So what I'm going to do is I basically am making a custom widget, which is extending group, so it can hold multiple things. In my case, it's going to hold multiple labels. We're going to make 4 labels. Each one of them is going to hold a single digit, and we'll place them inside these boxes, and then we'll provide a nice, easy-to-use setter that makes it easy to change all 4 at once without having to worry about the fact that there's 4 of them. So we have the first digit done. I'm going to make the second digit. I'm going to take this out and then make the second digit. Second digit, so we're going to copy paste this around. And basically everything is going to be the same except for the position will be further to the right. So we went with 44 previously. Go with something like, oh, that's a closed the thing. Something back. Okay, this. How do I go back? Just close it? Now it's like gone. As you can tell, I'm not really that good at GIMP or image editing in general. It's something over here changed, but I have no idea. Just blinked. Empty. No, I definitely closed it. I just want to see the pixels. Option. Okay. That just looked weird because it was the top half. Up. And but moving. Okay. That was a lot, but I think the next pixel we want is going to be something like this, 54. So we did, what, the first time, we'll just add the difference to it. We did 44, so let's call it 10 here. We're going to place this one 10 pixels to the right of the previous one. Perfect, that's looking pretty good. So this one will, the next one will be more than 10 because of the colon space. About of those two, 69 or 70. So from 44, let's call it to 70, that's 26. Third digit. Nice, nailed it. Okay. And then the last one should be 10 again. It should be the same. It's the space between the first two. Let's try this fourth digit at 0. This one was a 3 in the preview, so I'm just going to set it to a 3. We'll change the text anyway. Oh, I didn't do the, yeah. Okay, 26, so this would be 10 higher, 36. There we go. And now we're looking good. Okay. So I want to make a, we want a function or a property. I think we want a function because do we want a function or do we want a property? Do we want to take, I guess it boils down to, so we have what I'm going to treat as minutes and seconds. I assume that's how they were in the original interface. I don't actually know for certain. Could try the emulator if we wanted to check, but I'm gonna head forward assuming that for now. Minutes and seconds. So when we set it, we could either use a function and pass in both minutes and seconds, and then we set them into the appropriate labels, minutes to the first and second, and seconds to the, third and fourth. Or we could pass in just the seconds. So we wanted to set 1 minute and 5 seconds, we would pass in 65. It would convert it to minutes and seconds, and then it would put them in there. And if we do that, if we only pass one value, then we could actually make it a property and not a function, because it could just be, time value equals 65. I think I like the single input. I think we should just input the seconds, because I suspect it will be easiest to get the playing time from that, because ultimately this is tracking how long the MP3 file is playing. So we'll take a timestamp when we start, each time through the loop, we'll check the current time and we'll subtract it from the start timestamp so that we know the number of seconds that the current song has been playing. That number of seconds we'll set into this. So let's do a property. And we'll need an actual variable for this as well. So let's call this self dot, I'm going to make an underscore one for the variable, and then the property name will not have the underscore. So let's call it what? Time in seconds, that's awfully wordy. Time value. Seconds value? Just seconds? Clock display, seconds equals. Seconds value equals. Seconds value. I like seconds value. Well, maybe I like seconds better. I think I like seconds better. So this will be 0. Or should we make it 3 by default? And we'll set the first one so that it looks like this. And we'll probably go back and default to something else, but we could do that for now for testing. That's actually nice for testing. So this will be seconds property, and when you seconds when you access it, it will just return the variable. When you set it, that's when more of the magic happens. So at seconds setter. Whoops. Okay, so this would not return anything, but what it will do is set the new value in. So we need to figure out, so well, one thing we can do is just set, right? Self.seconds equals new value. We need to accept new seconds value. New seconds value, and then I guess what we'll do is def update display. Takes nothing. This is where it will actually change the text that are in the labels. So here, let's go. We need to multiply out the minutes and seconds. Divide, I guess, out. So minutes equals self.seconds divided by 60. This should give us the number of minutes. 65, 60 is 1. Yep. And 60. If we had like 34, it should be 0. And if we had 134, it should be 2. Okay. This is minutes, and then seconds, we need seconds. I'll make these underscore. They're like private inside of this. They're temporary kind of things. So seconds. So this is going to be this minus 60 times minutes. Minutes would be 2. Seconds would then be 125 minus 60 times 2, which is 120. So 125 minus 120 gives us 5. So then we have 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Yeah, that sounds right to me. So now we basically need to convert them to strings and 0 pad them, and then fill them into the labels. Was there, I want to say there's like a string format for Python, format string. It's not really what we want though. We want like 0 pad. Add zeros to a string. Defill. Defill 3. Do we have that? Feels familiar. Maybe I've done this before. Defill? No. We support this thing? Okay, this would be the 4 though. That works. Yeah, okay. Okay, so minutes string is this with minutes in here. So this should, and we only want to go to 2. This would get messed up if you had a song that was longer than 99 minutes. But we don't have that, so minute string to pad the value from minutes. Second string is basically going to be the same. Okay. Now we can basically just use square brackets to get the individual digits out. So self.firstDigit.text equals minute string 0, 1. Okay, these. Third, fourth. So I think that would work. And now we can just, after we're done initializing all of these, well, let's go take these out. So now we should probably just have nothing in those spots. Oh wait, we're still in REPL. Okay, that's good. That gives us a chance to do more, which we want to actually call here self.updateDisplay. It starts on 3, so we should end up with the 003. Nice. Okay, so let's do a very simple, like, just make sure this is going to work for counting upwards. So let's just do something like, see, we don't really need this. Start time equals time dot monotonic. Time. Now cur time equals, and seconds elapsed equals cur time minus start time. And then clock display seconds equals int. We want to just ignore the decimal. Seconds elapsed. Print. Second elapsed. We could also limit it to not update as much. Yeah, it is pretty fast. Oh, we didn't never call update display. That's the problem. This doesn't matter too much. Probably add some kind of efficiency, make it not set if it's already on the right time or something. But so what we want is inside of here, when we call seconds setter, we actually need to also call update display. Should work now. It was actually counting when it was loading, and it showed us that it took 3 seconds. I'm gonna let it run up past a minute to make sure that it rolls over correctly. Sometimes it does seem to blink a little extra. Partially this could be the camera, but also whenever the garbage collector runs, it can cause a hitch in the display, so. Nine over to 1, perfect. Yeah, I like it, okay. That seems like our little clock display working pretty well. One thing I think I'll do is maybe just some little last minute checks here. If does not equal this, then set it. This might avoid some of the flashing. I think it's likely there will be a little bit of flashing no matter what, unless we were really, really diligent about not letting the garbage collector run. I think this will probably minimize it to the point where you may not even see it. Doesn't equal. Doesn't equal, and set it. Now it will only update the label if it actually changed. It means it's less likely, it won't update nearly as much. It will now only update once per second, which means we're way less likely to. Did 10 show 0, 0? It means we're way less likely to actually be updating at any given time when the garbage collector runs, since we update way less overall. Previously, we were updating fast as the main loop is running, and now the main loop has probably hundreds of iterations where we don't actually update. It's still coming in a little bit. I did see it there on 35. I am curious about 10. I feel like 10 0, 0, but I might have just been seeing things. And this is still running super fast as well. We took out this print. Don't really need it anymore. I should have just let it flip over to 1 minute, huh? Oh well. So the way it starts on 3 will eventually change because It does. It shows 0 for 10. It shows 0 for 10. But this has 10s in it, right? Actually, look. This does have 10s in it. Ah. Here we go. Should have been a 0. And a 1 where we should have had a 0. Get you every time. There we go. That's better. 10's looking good now. Okay. I will let it run. I'll let it run here in the background, and we'll make sure that it rolls over to a minute correctly when it does. While that's working, though, we can start doing the next thing, which is, what do we want to do next? Start putting labels down here, or work on the scrolling thing up here? Let's start putting labels down here, I'm inclined to say. Yeah. I think what I'll do is make a playlist display also similar to the clock display that I did here. So we'll go class playlist display IO dot group. This is another basic one. It's just going to hold a couple labels. This is boilerplate. Text color, yeah, we'll keep that. We passed it in from our config. Be rolled over. Oh, I saved it. I saw it was on 111 though, so it seemed like it rolled over fine. Shouldn't have saved it. This one will also actually take song list. Song list equals empty by default. And per song or current index? Want current index or current song? Per song index? I guess current song is a pretty ubiquitous term, and also we called this current song. But current song implies it would be the name of the song, not the index. Current song index feels very wordy, but is very specific. So this is going to default to 0. Probably we'll start it on 0 and then just change it later, but... and so this will have some code inside of it that will manage things like taking the whole list and paring it down to just the 3 or 4-ish that are going to fit inside of here. So it'll be responsible for that like moving window of which 3 or 4 songs in the playlist are visible. But to start with, it will be essentially just a label. We could actually use one label even. Do we want to use one label or multiple labels? Let's start by trying with one. Self.label equals a new bitmap label terminal. We'll just do this and should make I should be using a variable for font in case we eventually want to provide a way to set it from the config file. That might be kind of cool. Cedar Grove, hey, how's it going? Cedar Grove, I messed up line 47. Oh, but 47 also probably changed. Let me look at your code here. You have self.seconds. Oh, right. Instead of, yeah, that totally works too. Yeah, thank you. Instead of dividing and throwing away the, decimal, we can instead, of course, just, oh, well, but we wouldn't want it for minutes, though. We would, I see, I'm on the one line wrong. This one. The number of leftover seconds from the division is actually the number of seconds we want here. So we can get rid of this funky math, actually, yeah. So self.seconds, and then modulo 60. So divided by 60 and give me the remainder, which will be the number of seconds we want to show. Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Good call. I don't know. I'm usually pretty good about using modulus when stuff like that pops up. I don't know, though. For whatever reason, it just did not even occur to me this time. So we make our label. We don't really need anything else here. I'm going to try a single label. We'll see how it looks. Maybe we come back and do multiples. I'm going to start with one and use new lines. So let's try label. Let's just default it actually to... No, let me do it in the next line. Doesn't really matter, but we're going to remove it. This way it'll be easier to just cut the whole line. Label text equals, and then I don't remember the other one we did. DJ Mike something. DJ Mike Llama. And then like Llama Whippin' or something like that. New line. And this is like Marilyn Manson or something. It doesn't really matter. Let's call it some baby metal chocolate. Baby metal. Okay, so baby metal hyphen chocolate. Okay. We'll need anchor point and anchor position. Anchor point. We'll go, I like 0, 0. Unless I'm trying to center it or anchor it to the right wall, I guess. I like 0, 0 if I'm placing it normally. Here, anchored position. This will be down here. We can get a decent guess at by looking in this. Or around here should be about what we want. Try this, 13 to 34. 13, 34. It's not exact because there's like space around the glyphs, right? The glyph represents a rectangle, but the actual letter within the glyph, or number in this case, might not have a pixel in the top left corner. We'll see how this looks though. I think it'll be pretty close. So we did super. We need to add the label to ourself. Self.append. We're a group. So we're adding the label to ourself. And then let's, whenever we make the clock display, let's also make a playlist display. Back to text color for this one. Could eventually, maybe we'll break out a third one. I don't know if any of them had different colored playlists. I know they had highlighted, which did make it different, but I don't know about color. But we could maybe put it into the config, and then people could change it if they wanted. Playlist display. So that's going to create a new one, and then we'll just add it to our main group. Since it now extends group, we're able to just say append our playlist display to the main group. And then I think actually I did this part wrong. So we should, in here, this should be 0, 0. So on this, yeah, this should be 0, 0, 13 and 234. And then we should set that actually out here. Playlist.x 13.y 34. Because from the perspective of our playlist display, our label is just 0, 0, top left corner. But from the perspective of our app, our playlist display itself is actually down here, 13, 234. So let's give this a try. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. The text color didn't come through. That's fine, though. We can fix that. There's 2 there. We should have room for a third, I think. I think we should have room for a third. Just gonna copy paste one. Okay, yeah, that fits in there. And 3 does look like the number. But 3 fits nicely. Text color. Okay, yeah, we didn't use it here. This is why. Color. Text color. There we go. Now this should be orange. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So we want this playlist to do some more things for us. I think we want this to honestly manage a couple of things for us. It should manage which 3 are showing based on the current index. So we have one question, which is, do we want to show the current one and the 2 that come after it? Or do we want to show the previous one, the current one, and the next one? I think I lean towards the former. I think we show the current one at the top, and then the next one and the one following that below. And so we could actually start doing this, right? This should, let's do it this way. Instead of hard coding these on our label, let's start working on our list logic. So song list. I think we have to append them. I don't think we can just set multiples. Maybe there's a way, but I'm not sure how. We can do this. More. Text. Don't need any more. Oh well, but we will, because we'll have something like, so we'll have something like this, update display, just like we did on the other one. Call that at the end of super. Need to define it as well. Def update display. Doesn't need any arguments. And so I'm gonna put there will be some logic in here. It's gonna have to figure out, based on the current index, which ones to show and all of that. So we should maybe we should really make these different. There's some more Baby Metal songs. I don't know the name of very many Baby Metal songs. I like Baby Metal. I listen to a lot of their music, but I don't know the names of their songs. I didn't know that one. Oh, it's actually Gimme Chocolate. Interesting. Okay. Can I copy these? Maybe a little bit. Faster to just type it. Karate. That's spelled right. Let's do it. Let's do. I think we want at least 4. I'm gonna do 5 for now. Honestly, we'll get rid of these also. This will be part of the responsibility of our playlist display. We'll be adding these numbers in. But yeah, it's a good one. That one. Oh, I could have kept one. Oh, the order doesn't matter though. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. It's kind of long. I don't know if that will fit actually. Let's try it. We could maybe cut out some exclamation points or some of the E's if we had to. I think this is the official name though. Okay, so then we'll be able to set the index to see the later one. So we'll get to that once we do get to there. To start with though, we want to get display. So we need to take our current index and then get the 3 songs that are starting with the current one and the 2 after it. So let's call this showing songs equals this is, so we need to keep the song list actually. Self dot song list equals song list. It's afterwards, otherwise we have to go back and change all of these. These are going to get deleted eventually. They'll get read from the SD card, but for now I'm going to leave them, and then we'll just cut them out later. But this way we don't have to change around what we did. We set the song list. We could go ahead and make def song list property return self song list. We'll have a setter too, but we'll maybe also have like append or something. I don't know if we actually end up needing that. We may not. Maybe we'll just have a getter and setter. Song list setter. Remember to use mod has been on my New Year's resolution many times. Nice. Yeah. Well, you got it this for January at least. You got got January crossed off. Definitely remembered and reminded me. So def song list again, and then new song list self that. Okay, so we want to get from the song list. Doesn't really matter if we use the property or the value, I don't think. So I'll go with the property to keep the underscores out. Song list self dot. We should keep the current song index. Song index equals current song index. Let's make properties for these also. Okay, setting this has a new value, new index, this, new index, okay. Okay, this is gonna get the current song index, and then 3, this doesn't feel right, it would be like this plus 3, I think. I want to say that's probably what we want. So let's just do print showing songs and then run it because we'll create it. This we'll call update. Update will get to here. We'll print the ones that it got. Hopefully it's 3, but maybe I got an off by 1 or something. We'll see. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn off that spam if I haven't already. Okay, I think we got it. Lemon whipping, give me chocolate. Oh, but yeah, perfect. Okay, that did work. And then, so now we have the songs. So now we can set the text. Do we need to do anything else? I guess we should compile it into a string. Showing string equals string. I'm gonna do this. First one, second one, third one, format. Okay, actually what we want is, yeah, this will work. This will work. It's gonna be long though. Let's do this. Showing songs 0, but also we're gonna do this. Oh, no. Oh. Let's do it this way. Inside of here, let's say number dot space song title. And so this would be, first one is current song index. Then the showing song 0. And then now we basically can do this. This would just be +1, +2. And now 0, 1, 2. Oh, but one problem is we'll get 0, 1, 2, not 1, 2, 3. We probably want 1, 2, 3. So we can just do this +1, +2, +3. Just artificially add an extra one there. And now we can go self.label text equals showing string. Don't really need to print it because we'll see it on the display. We don't really need pass date. So we should be able to see this now. For baby metal songs. Let's go back to here. Yeah, there we go. We got. I didn't actually see it refresh though, and I am slightly skeptical because we did have it hard coded before. Okay, it seems fine though. It seems fine. And the real test, we can also do this, right? If we say, well, let's do whenever you update the current song index with the setter, also all this, update display. And we should do this one too, I guess. Whenever you update the list. In our case, we're not updating the list, we're just starting. Probably do something similar in the long run, but if we do ever use the setter, we definitely want to update afterwards. Now we can just go current song index. We can do it after we create it. Playlist display current song index 1. And we should see 2, 3, and 4. Nice. Yeah, that's looking good. Does run off the side. That one is a little long. And I don't think necessarily I want to do the scrolling for the text down here. This one up here, I think it'll be neat to get that scrolling effect again, because it will kind of add to the nostalgia. That's how it behaved before. So it's a neat little effect, and if nothing else, like, it'll also provide us a little reusable scrolling text widget that we could use for other purposes, which will be kind of nice. Here I think it's okay though. Really, we could just truncate it maybe. Pick the first like so many characters. I think, is this monospace? I think maybe it is because of how much space is between the exclamation points. We could just do like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We could cut it at maybe 15-ish. The other thing is we need some error handling for when we get to the end of the list. What is it going to do? Is it going to wrap back around or just be blank? Said 15. That's going to be back in here. So how do we do the first 15 characters? That's at least 15. I think, is it this? I think it's... Nailed it. First time. Okay, colon 15. So here we'll go the name. This will truncate. Hopefully it won't, I don't know what it will, hopefully it won't break for ones that are shorter than. Oh, right. Shoot. Okay, so we don't need 15, actually. We need 15 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, no, actually, we need 15 plus... No, actually, we start here. We need 15 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, another 15, actually. So we would do 30. 30? 30 and 30. Now. Perfect. So the one that's too long gets cut off. The ones that aren't too long get shown in their entirety. Eventually, when we did get to this song, it would show up here and it would use the scrolling one, so they would still be able to actually see the full name of it once it got to there. Okay. So what happens when we set the index one higher? My guess is it crashes. We probably need to fix that. So let's do that. Here we do 3. Does it crash? Yeah. Index out of range, 37. So eventually we'll break these into different files probably, but for now I'm all in one file. 37. Yeah, so the problem is there just is no 2. So I guess, do we want an if statement? Like if... If there is 3, then do what we have, and if there's less than 3, then modify the logic. But honestly, instead of that, we could just use a for loop, and then we have the same logic no matter what. I think, right? So we could do something like this. It starts as nothing. For song in showing songs. We then do showing song. No. Showing string. This is string. Our loop is showing songs. So here we go. It equals to itself plus some new stuff plus a new line. Yeah, format. So itself plus some new stuff, which is, here's the new stuff. I don't know if I'll keep this broken out, but for now I'm going to do this. We may just, I don't know, we'll see what the code is. Maybe it gets tucked in here, but curl line, and then this is going to be one of these things, basically. Basically going to be one of these. Which is probably too long, so I will not tuck it in there, probably. This would be, we should get this also index and song in enumerate. So this is current song index plus 1 plus index from our loop. So if our current song index was 0, it would be 0 plus 1 to get to 1 plus another 0 from the index here. I think there's a case we're missing. Let's keep trudging forward though, and then we'll discover the case by actually using it. That's the best way to make sure it's going to work, is actually just use it. So curl line equals the number, the song. This is curl line. Curl line gets added to showing string. New line goes after it. Next time around, we create the new curl line. It gets added. At that point, it would be after the new line. That loops however many times it needs. We end up with one extra new line at the end, but new line's not visible, so that's not actually a problem, really. Let's comment these and see. Perfect. Oh, not so much, actually. These both show karate. We should only have one karate. Right, that's because here we did 0, but this should actually be, honestly, we could just do this, right? Song. There we go. Our current index is, we set it to oh, this is still 0 based. Set it to 3. This should be 1 based, but then I hesitate to leave the word index in the name, because index, to me at least, kind of implies 0 based. Yeah, enumeration is a really neat trick. I like that enumerate. You can just tuck it into your for loop there. Yeah. Current song index plus 3 greater than the song list. Yeah, I think this for loop ultimately. I was discussing that way with the if statement before. I'm guessing that's probably when you drop that. It's kind of semantical. I probably shouldn't spend too much time thinking about it. I think I'm inclined to, I guess I'll just leave it. My preconceived notions aren't necessarily on everybody, so maybe it's not as big of a deal. Thinking. So basically we would I think what we'll do is we'll just current song index will always be the 1 base indexed, and then when we go to show it in here, let's just track by 1 each time we use it. We'd basically do this. This would be +2, or I mean there are 4 different reasons, so this looks weird to add 3 and then -1, but makes it clear to me that they're there for different reasons, so I like it better. Which anytime we use this, then that would get rid of our +1 here, which is actually nice. Is that it? That might be everything. So then 3 would actually show 3, 4, and 5. It does. And they're correct. And then 4 would show 4 and 5. And this would be where we would test if our for loop makes us not crash, which it does. And 5 would show 1 and then blank blank. It does. We may eventually wrap back around to the front. Like maybe eventually I'll have it show 1 and 2 after this one. I think for now I'm going to leave it and just work onward, but at some point we could do that and it wouldn't be too hard, I don't think. Basically in here we could do something like, if we don't actually have 3 between us and the end, then have it start back at the beginning, essentially. I think for now, though, I'll leave it. That's kind of like a future state. Would be nice to have, but not necessarily core functionality. So that thing seems to work all right. Put it back on 1 just to make sure. Track number. Current song track. Current track. Current track number. I think I do like that. This looks good. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 seems fine. I do like that. Let's do just track number? Current track number. Let's do current track number. This will find everything. Let's double check though. Current track number. Both changed. I'll change this too. This one doesn't matter because it's private, but may as well keep everything. I'll change it up here in the constructor as well. Keep everything consistent. Current track number. There we go. Let's make sure everything works. Yeah, looks like it. Let's set it to something higher. Let's go 2. Yep, looking good. Okay. Okay, so we have our playlist. It seems to behave correctly. It shows our 3 songs. It will take wherever we're at. It will always show us the next 3. We can always just shift it by updating the track number. It's pretty easy. I think our main program then will just be looping through MP3 files, and whenever it starts a new one, it will just update the track number showing on the playlist, and also reset the time thing up here, and also do the reset the current title up into this one. So I think I'll work on the scrolling of the song title up here next. But I need a quick break before I do that. I'm going to run to the restroom and then come back and do that. So I will be back in a moment, and then we'll do that scrolling widget. All right. So for this one, I think we can extend label instead of group. And basically we'll make a full text property, I think. You set the full text to everything. So in our case, we'll set it to this whole line, which is the song title, basically. And then you'll have to call update each time in the main loop. And it will manage its own essentially scrolling animation internally. So you call update every iteration. It will keep track of when the last time it changed, how long it has to wait between changes, and then it'll do the change when it's time. And the change in this case is basically showing a different substring from the full string, scooting over, to the right by one character each time. And if the full string is small enough to fit, then just show the whole thing and do no scrolling. Yeah, that's the plan. So we're going to go... I'm just going to, again, dump it right into here. Eventually these will get broken out. This one I could see being reusable, so maybe we'll eventually get this into either its own new widget library in CircuitPython.org or maybe inside of display text. I mean, this is basically a different label, so it could live in there. But this we're going to call scrolling text. Call it scrolling label. Yeah, I think actually it should be scrolling label. Since the other ones are label and bitmap label, this should be scrolling label. This is going to extend bitmap label.label. This stuff will be pretty much... So... so I think we want to go args and quarks. This is right. So yeah, let's try it. If this part's wrong, then we won't get any farther than here. So let's just go here. Current song. Just start calling it track. I think that's okay though. Song. So I want to call it label. I guess it doesn't matter. We're going to delete the other one, so let's do it. Current song label. This is now going to be a scrolling label. And then we'll try just passing all of the same stuff. If we created our class properly, then this will all work. Yeah, this will always be yellow because we have abused args and quargs. It doesn't actually know which things are which. And then it is two. We'll just do this. Let's try that. It'll already be getting appended. No, can't have multiple star X. I just... supposed to be star star? Let's just try that. And not, I shouldn't have both of these. I have multiple star star. Yeah. See, because we don't, for label, the first argument is positional, and it's the font, and it's just terminal io.font, but it doesn't have a, something equals. For all the rest of them, every other argument is optional, and they are all keyword arguments, and we want to just pass them all through. And I'd rather not list them all out either. So we could obviously do that. We could just list them all out. So would this be... So there is only one. I guess we can take advantage of the fact that we know there's only one positional. We would need to do differently if there were multiples. I guess maybe this could work. Unexpected keyword argument text, 141. Yeah, those happy about. Does it pass into label though? Or does, so this 141. First version based on character count for width. Yep, I was thinking that as well. Character count. Future version acts as display coordinate window. Oh, I hadn't thought of vertical. That would be kind of cool too. Incremental scrolling. That's a good term for it. Well. So this is failing before it even gets inside of init. Look at display text. Because it does something like this. It's kind of where my inspiration for this little... Oh, okay, so we put the quargs inside of here too, and we pass them, and it's 2 stars, not 1. There we go. Yep, now our label is back. Everything looks perfect. So we have overridden label properly. Is this still unhappy? It would be nice if this recognized. It does. Does not like that, but that's a base thing. Okay, so it does know that these exist, which is really nice. Okay, so now we have our scrolling label. We will add a couple of things, though. Besides what we have so far, we'll also take max width, which will be... I feel like having a default because I don't want it to be required, but really you should pass your own. I don't even know what the right default would be. 10, 20, something. Not too many. Maybe we should call it max characters. Max width implies pixels. We could eventually have one that would do the math to figure out the pixels for you as well. Okay, so we get our max characters. So basically we're going to have another self.full text is going to come from does quargs if text in Wargs. Wargs. Text. Does that work like that? Else text equals empty string. Like that worked. And I passed it as text, right? Yeah. Okay, so we have our full text, and then we're gonna make def full text property return. Then for the setter, this is where part of the fun comes in the setter. I guess we'll need an update, I guess. Most of the fun will be an update, won't it? Full text setter. Yeah, really there won't be much in here. That's that interesting. This will just update the variable. Oops. Okay. Update. Here's where really most of the fun will be. So inside of update, we want to... First thing we can do is just check if we're actually long enough that we need to scroll. Because if we're under the max characters, then we don't even need to scroll and nothing different needs to happen. So if the length of full text is greater than the number of self.max characters, so if our text is greater than the max characters, so let's actually do less than or equal, and then from in here, we just go self.text, which is the label, the bitmap label, text equals full text. We just set it to everything showing. We don't have to do any kind of fancy business. Full text. I'm going to try to keep it consistent at least and always use properties. Although this is not a property because I just put it into a variable, but it doesn't have the underscore, which is really what I meant. So if the full text is less than or equal to the max characters, then just show it in the label, else we need to do the scrolling. So here, we actually are going to have some other things here. Let's call this animate time 0.3. I'm going to start with, which is this is going to be the number of seconds in between updates. So a lower time means it updates faster. A longer time means it waits more between actually updating the text. So this will be the time between when it actually does the scroll action. We'll play with some values, but let's start on 3. So another thing we'll need is last time we updated, self dot. This one can be underscore because it's really not public facing. Last animate time can start on -1. Don't know if it'll actually matter, but so in the case of this, we could actually say self dot last animate time equals, I'm going to say now, and then I'm going to go now equals time dot monotonic. Okay. update time equals now, and I'm actually also gonna return. Nothing else needs to happen. So then in here, we'll also do these, but before, this is where we will have the fun. So we will get a substring that is max characters long out of full text. We also need to know the index of the full text that we're currently on. Self.current character index. Current index. Current index. We'll start on 0. We start on -1. I feel like we should start on 0. Okay, so now showing string is, so this is kind of similar to what we did somewhere else. It'd be nice if update or another property could include a starting position. Yeah, so current index. I guess one thing we could do is this could be passed in. Current index. So here you could set your current index when you initialize it, and then you would be able to start at a different spot. Like if you had a 20-digit string, 20-character string, and you wanted to start on 5 for whatever reason, this should let you do that. Yes, that's true. We'll make that a property also. Property def current index. We'll just update it through the property as well. So that's like, can be used publicly, but doesn't necessarily have to be. You could also just call update and it'll manage itself. Will it update itself? Cool. But you could also manually set it if you wanted to change it to jump ahead or jump back behind or something. So current index, this is just going to return variable. Setter. Oh. New index. Probably call update. This gets weird if we call update though, because it might not be time yet. I think we need like a force. Force equals false. This should be then force equals true. And this should have like, well, I didn't even add it yet. If now, so if force or now, no, let's actually go or self dot last animate time plus call it animate time. Oh, okay, I just didn't save it. Self dot time. Should animate delay. I don't. This is probably not the best name. Animate time. I'll probably come up. Hopefully, I'll come up with something better than animate time. Animate delay. Animate delta. Delay. Let's see. So if the last animate time plus the animate time, animate duration maybe. Anyway, we can rename it later, but the concept animate time. So we add that to the last time if those together are greater than or equal to now. No, less than. Less than. Or equal to now, then we know that this amount of time has elapsed since this point in time. Because now will be greater after we get that many seconds away from this. So if any of those are true, then we go to do this stuff. So this will be our mechanism to force it to update, even if it's not time yet. And then in main loop, we just won't call. Well, force will be false. We won't add force, and then it will not update unless it's time to. Okay, so showing string, this is going to be now our substring of self.full string, full text, substring starting at current index, going to current index plus max characters. That's right. And I think this crashes when we get towards the end of the string. Once we get within this many characters of the end of the string. So we'll need to handle that, but I think I'm going to just keep going for now. Okay, so then our showing string, this is what we're going to actually show, so we can just do self.text, because we're a label. Whenever we set our text property, it's going to update the screen, equals showing string. And then we can also increment index plus equals 1. But we also need to reset it to 0 if it's time, which means if maybe we should we do this inside of here? So this is a shortcut for curIndex equals curIndex plus 1. Yeah, I think I like the idea of this happening in here. So when you set the current index, if the new index is less than or equal to the length of the full string, full text, minus self.max characters. If the full text was 30 and the max characters was 20, then we would say if the new index is less than or equal to 30 minus 20, less than or equal to 10, then it would just do what it did already. Else it's greater than that, so it's well, no, we should just let it go to the end. It should be it should, I mean, eventually we could have a configuration, you could have it both ways, but for now I want it to scroll off the edge. Whenever it gets to the end, I want it to just run off the edge. I think is what this does, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so this does actually wrap. This wraps right away. Wraps right away. Do we want to wrap? I want to do, yeah, I guess we'll keep it the same. We'll keep it the same. Let's wrap immediately. So, but does that change this logic? So we'll basically, yeah, in fact, that will go along with this crashing when we get to the end, actually. That fix can go along with that. What we'll do is, if we're close enough to the end, then we'll start taking characters from the beginning and add them as well. But for here, you will not... For here, you'll... We won't subtract this. We'll always go to the full text length. So if the length of the full text is 30, we actually want less than. So if the new index is less than the length of the full text, then we just set it. If it's not less than the length of the full text, that means that we tried to set it to something larger than what we have, at which point we will just wrap back around. Speaking of using modulus, we can use modulus for this. Current index modulus max characters. So if max characters was 20 and our full text was 30 and we passed, let's say 32, is not less than 30. So we go to here. This should be the number they passed. New index. So 32 modulus 30. It's 1, remainder 2. So it sets the new index to 2. But we should minus 1 because if we did exactly 30, is that right? So if full text was 30 and we set new index exactly to 30, what we want is to end up on index. We would end up on index 0. We don't subtract 1. We need to subtract 1? Because if we did 29, 29 is less than 30. So that would work. But then when we did 30, it's not less than. 30 modulus 30 will be 0. New index will be 0. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we subtract. Okay. Yeah. So that will wrap us. No matter how big you try to put in, it will always wrap us back to fitting within our full text. This should not be... This should not be max characters, though. This should be the length of the full text. 30 in the example of our case. I was saying max characters was 20 in our case, for example, but the length of our text was 30. So if we passed in 30, we would want a modulus by 30 to get 0, not modulus by 20 to get whatever. I don't know what it would be. 20, I guess, or 10 rather. Full text. Yeah, this gets us where we want. 30 modulus 30 will give us 0, which is the index we should end up on if we pass in 30. So So that will take care of wrapping. That way we don't have to put any other logic here. We just add 1. When we're on 29, we go up to 30. It sets it back down to 0. I don't know if the plus equals will make a difference. I assume Python will handle that correctly, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. So we're in here, showing string. We get from the current index. Square brackets, cutting it out. So we're getting our substring. The length of it is the max characters. Start on current index. Set this to text, which updates the string. We increment current index for next time. We set the animation time to now. This limits the animation time, or if force was true. So we're pretty darn close. I don't know what the number. We're going to need to set this to a number, the max characters. Well, we could just see what happens, I guess, on 10. Oh, we're not calling update. Won't do anything. I don't even know if it will show the first one. It did show the first one. Did not limit it to 10. So yeah, this is one thing I guess you have to watch out for. We're extending label, which means we have all of label's functionality, which right now we used because we didn't change very much of the code. We're passing in text. We should really probably make a full text, and we should be passing that in. Text with this overridden one, really you shouldn't use text directly. Text will always get set from update, which I almost wish there was a way to, like, if the user tries to set the text property, warn them that they're really not supposed to with the scrolling label, and instead tell them they should just call update, or they should be instead setting the full text, not the actual text. But I don't know if there's a way to do that, because we do need text to work from inside of here. So we'd almost need to like somehow know if it's a parent function or if it's our function. I don't know. Is it just new index equals 0? That would work. That would not break anything, but this way it will make it so that it this way it will make it take into account the number it gets. Realistically, we're always adding 1, right? The only way that current index is changing in our code is here, which is always adding 1, which means we're always going to go from 29 to 30, and then the logic is going to flip. So we're always going to end up on 0. But if somehow you set current index, I think, like to 35, it's arguable. I could see a case for maybe raising an error or something, but we already are past that, I guess. But what this one will do is set it to 5. So if you had set it to 35, then you end up on 5. If you imagine the string as an infinitely long repeating thing, you'll by setting 35, you'll be at the spot in that infinite repeating scrolling thing that you would be if 35 existed, right? If we imagine an infinite string, then we do have a 35. It's infinite length. This will make it so you end up at that spot. For the actual code here, it won't make a difference. But in the case that you set current index explicitly, this will update you to be at the spot, at least the spot that makes sense from my mind as to where you would end up. Yeah, I'm hoping this scrolling text, I think, will try to break it out. This is one of the things, one of the parts of this project I think we'll try to get into a library. I'd love to be able to make this a reusable widget. Yeah, there's some stuff like that where I'm kind of considering it, even though it's not part of this project necessarily, but hopefully we'll make it behave in the way that people assume it will if we do break it out and make it reusable. So we basically, so did I change full text down here? I think I did, right? Yeah, full text. So then here we need to change, well, we need to add full text. Full text equals nothing by default, and then but we passed it, and then in here we'll Right, okay. Yeah, so, really, I guess here is where we could warn them. Here's where we could warn them. We could say, we could, yeah, we could say raise, no, what is it? Except? No. How do we raise an exception? It's not raise? It is raise. Okay, I must have typed it wrong. Raise, let's call this would be what a, is it a runtime error? What is it? What kind of error is it if you basically value error? Value error? Pass the wrong value? I don't know. User code should not set text argument on scrolling text. Full text instead. Set to nothing and we raise this. Else then just set this to full text. Will be blank if they didn't pass it. So if they did pass text, warn them that they shouldn't have. We can at least cut that part off. They did pass it, it gets set. So then we should have a 10-digit thing here, which should show the first 10 digits. No. So let's just start troubleshooting a little bit. Print full text. Okay. That part's good. Oh, we didn't call update. Makes sense. But update. This should show the first 10 characters. Oh, PyStack. Oh, we have infinite loop. Probably we have infinite loop. Place text. Okay, so updating current. Yeah. So we're updating current index, and when we update current index, we're calling update, which is updating the current index again, but it shouldn't be, right? Because last... Oh, we put force true. Yeah, that's a problem. So we're updating current index, which is triggering a call to update, but we're inside of update. And we do force true, so we always update current index again. Which means we're basically like infinite. So maybe we shouldn't have the ability to force. I feel like if you set the current index, you're expecting it to update right away. And so I liked this mechanism for if you told it to force, then just do it regardless of the time. But we don't want it to go infinite. So we could just take out force and then it would call it again, but it wouldn't be time to update yet, presumably. Or even if it is, then it would just call it again once. If it's not time to update, then it would call it again once and nothing would happen. Yeah, I guess we just get rid of force. I mean, we're at 0.3 seconds anyway, which is pretty fast. Like, It won't be instant, but within a third of a second is close enough. If we tweak the animation time to larger, then technically that time could grow, but we'll have, I don't know if we just remove force, I guess. Yeah, I think we just remove force. Otherwise, well, I don't know. We'll get back to that. Does this stop us from going infinite? No. $30. So we have a recursion problem. This is spawning another call to update. I almost want to just take this out actually. And we can put in the doc string, when you change the current index, you need to call update. And user code can do it. Because we don't really want update to be calling itself. Update should always be getting called from the main loop. It would be nice to not have to call update after this, but I don't see a way that doesn't involve making it overly complex. Maybe one exists. If we come up with it, we could use it. For now, though, we just don't call update in here, this problem goes away because update can never spawn another call to itself. So now we get no stack exhaustion, and we should have our first 10 things showing. Indeed, that's probably 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, okay, perfect. That is what we were expecting. And we're not calling update in the main loop yet, so it's not scrolling, but if we did that, we might just be scrolling now. Like here, we can just go playlist. Well, no, what is this? It's just curse song label update. There's okay. So we got caught at the end. Something stopped working, but it seemed like it was going okay for a minute there. Are we off by 1? Yeah, that's working nice. But we stop at the end. Interesting. Why would we be stopping? So something with our reset logic is wrong, probably. So I don't know how many characters are actually in this string. I was always using 29 and 30. Let's oh, this is not... That'll do it. So we got to the end, and then we just stopped setting current index. It was doing math and then not setting it. Yeah. Sweet. So that is working. Okay. I had a different stream actually on over in the other window, but they just ended. So I'm switching it out here, sorry. Over to some music. I like working with another I mean, as folks are probably watching me, just like on the other screen or whatever, just in the background. I like working with another person working also on the stream there. I find it's kind of a nice way to work. Which is why I'm excited about Tammy Makes Things. I should mention I gave him a Hugger report in the meeting, but for folks that don't know, Tammy Makes Things is going to be starting up a CircuitPython stream potentially on Twitch, so we may have more folks streaming CircuitPython and Maker related stuff. So I'm excited for that because I'm always looking for new folks to throw on while I'm working. So this is doing everything we want, with the one exception being it's not doing the straight wrapping right after the end. The other thing is, of course, we don't have the width set correctly, but we can always figure out the number of characters. That's going to be easy to fix. And the widget itself should support any number of characters. So I think I'm inclined to leave it on 10 for now, just to make sure this is working. And then that'll give us an extra test when we go and update it to 30 or however many actually fits in this bar. That'll give us an extra test point. Like, we know that 10 works. We also know that 30 works. We're changing it, which is good. So I think I'll leave it for now, but let's work on the wrapping. So when we get to the end, we should start adding characters from the beginning. Do we put like a single space between? I think we probably should put a single space between. So I think that is going to be here, where we calculate the showing string. So you know what actually is interesting is this is not raising an exception, which I am a little surprised by, I think. Maybe that just doesn't raise an exception. So if we have string with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and we say string slice 1, well, so let's say 1 and then 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2, we get 2 and 3. But if we say 1 and then 1 plus 10, you just get the end of the string. It's interesting. So this doesn't do any kind of index checking, any kind of bounds checking. The end of the slice can be larger than the string length. Yeah, I did not know that. Okay. So we need to then, I was thinking that would raise an exception and we could catch it and then do the behavior to add the beginning, but we won't be able to rely on that. So really, I guess we'll have to say, if this current index plus max characters is less than or equal to the length of the full string. Then do this. Else it's not. So that means current index plus max characters is greater than full text, in which case what we want to do is, so this one gets weird. We're gonna showing string, I'm gonna call these showing string start and showing string end. Maybe we'll get rid of them, combine them to one, maybe we won't use them both, I don't know. I'm gonna start like this though. Showing string start equals, this is gonna slice to the end, which to the end you can do this. Yeah. So current index colon nothing. Showing string end. So this I'm gonna do space format, and then what we will do is the beginning of the string. How do we know how many? This one's going to be actually colon and then a number? Colon 2? Is that the first two? Yeah. So colon and then a number. And the number is the amount shorter that max characters is than the amount shorter it's basically the amount by which this is false. So length of full text minus this. No. I can like picture this number, but I just can't, I don't, reaching the end of the day for me. Math is starting to jumble a little bit. So is it just full text minus current index? So let's just talk through one. Let's say, so our max characters is 10. So then let's say our current index is, well, I don't know how long our string is. Let's figure out how long our string is actually. Our string happens to be 32 characters, so the string is 32 characters, the max characters is 10. So if our current index is, let's say, 28, then we basically want like the first 4-ish. I think I'm off by 1 probably, but that's good. That's fine. We want basically the first 4 to get spliced onto the end. Maybe I'm off by at least 1 or 2. The space accounts for 1. Which is just the length of the full text minus the current index. I was on the right path, I think. So length of the full text minus the index. And I'm just going to run it, and we'll see if we're off by 1 or not that way, I think. Oh. Start equals index value, end equals start plus max chars with modulus. Oh, I didn't see it. Variable referenced for assignment. Oh, yeah. So we made both of these, and then we want this. Both of these format start end. That did not work. Had end equals start plus max characters modulus text full length. Start equals index value. So for us, is that cur index plus max characters modulus length of full text? I know this is definitely wrong, but I do notice we ended up with like one frame of showing more than, like right there, we showed more than 10. That equals current index. I'll put these back. Self dot current index plus max characters. Modulus. We keep our same example. If we were on 28, 28 plus 10 is 38. 38 modulus. The length of the full text is 6. 38 divided by 32 is 1 with 6 remainder. Sounds pretty close. I was expecting 4, but I know we're off by at least 1 because of the space, and we might be off by 1 more because of 0 based. Which, that would put us at 4. 6 and 2, if we're off by 2, would put us to 4. That looks pretty good. So I do think maybe we're off by 2. Not sure though, actually. Maybe not. I need to pause this. So we ended up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 showing right now. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 showing, but there might be a space. We don't actually know if that's 10 or 11. Three, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are 11 here. So one question is, are we always showing 11 and we thought it was 10 because there's a space? Or are we starting with 10 and ending up on 11 because of logic error where we're working at up there? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's take this space out and we just go Mike Llama. So do we see that when it first renders? No. So we are showing 10 initially. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there could be a space, so we could still be on 10. But eventually we get up to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You end up on 11. Okay. Because wrapping is based upon the length of the full text. I gotcha. I think I'm here. I think we're just off by the 1. Thought we were off by 2 at one point, but I do think we're actually off by 1. It's basically after we start this wrapping, then we start showing 11. But initially we're showing 10. So I think we may even just be as simple as can you just add a space? Yeah, I could do that. So don't do the space here. Why are my parentheses not lining up? There we go. So if if it does. Full text, the last character is not a space. Set it equal to itself with a space after it. Either way, set the resulting full text into our full text. Oh, something wrong. Whoa. That's not. Yeah, we're setting it. Are we not setting it? One. Oh, what are we on? What are we on? 21. Oh, okay, I see. Well, yeah, just don't do self. Okay. Okay. We got our space at the end still. Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9. Can we see the dot? I don't see the dot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Base is 8. Number is 9. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 is space. 6, 7, 8 is space. 9. Not actually this. But we had 11 before. Yeah, I messed up the handling of the space. Let it wrap once. I don't want to end on a space. Between. There we go. That's correct, actually. I happen to know that's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is E. We have an L directly after it. We don't see it, so we're definitely not showing 11. This, I think, has a space at the beginning. Space 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anyway, I guess we'd have a space at the end, so we wouldn't be able to tell. I think we're showing 10 now, though. And we still have the space in between, so I think we're good. I'm going to put us back to space between Mike and Llama. Of course, eventually this is all going to come from the name of the MP3 files. Minus the number, I guess we'll append the number in because we have the current track number. But this part will basically come from the MP3 file, which does raise another good point. If you don't have you'll have to make sure to put the artist name. If you actually want to see the artist name, it'll have to be in the MP3 file. Unless we support like artist directory songs inside of it, could maybe do that. Getting a little fancier, but to start with, I'll probably just go with putting the artist into the name of the MP3, and it'll all just live on the SD card, just plugged into the Pi portal. So let's, as the last thing, I think, because I'm going to head out here pretty soon, I think for the last thing today, let's change the max characters to actually match the amount of space we have. Right now we're just doing 10. 10 seems to be working, but let's increase it so that it fits on this entire thing, which I think we have at least 32. So we could actually set it bigger than 32 and also make sure that it doesn't scroll, because that's another thing we haven't tested, but it should be part of the behavior. This is the wrong thing. So let's say when we create the current song label, let's do it here, max characters. Let's call it 33, so it should not scroll. Everything works right. Everything does not work right. I just went to the wrong one again. When we create the scrolling label, set max characters 33. We're definitely still showing 10. Okay, we're not using it. So we just go here, not 10, but nope, not that, but this. Whatever got passed. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, test successful. It doesn't scroll because we put it to 33, and we know our thing has 32. Would it scroll if we put it to 32? I want to say no. It does. Because we added the space? Maybe because we added the space. Probably because we added the space. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably because we added the space. Because I counted it without the space. I counted it by highlighting this. This told me 32 characters. So eventually, I don't know, maybe it's worth changing this behavior. If you set it to a string that's the exact size as this, maybe it should not scroll, in which case it would need to try to account for the extra space. But it does get weird too, like if the input string contains a space at the end, like, you know, if we did this, then our code will not add one. So we wouldn't really have a way to know whether they passed a string with the space or we added the space, unless we also keep track of that Boolean. I think for now this is fine though, and this does behave how I wanted. If your string is smaller than that, we don't scroll at all, which is perfect, because if you have enough to fit, then we don't need it to scroll. But now the question really is, how many is enough to fit? And I think what we say is up to this little a right here, which we can count by doing this. That's 22. So 22. Looking good. Yep, I like it. Cool. All right, so there we are. A couple reusable widgets now. I don't know, some of them maybe not super useful beyond this project, but I think certainly the scrolling one could come in handy. This list one maybe could come in handy as well for a more general purpose thing. You know, we'd probably have to tweak the behavior with the numbers and stuff, like this is kind of tracking its own separate deal. But maybe some kind of list like this would ultimately also be a good widget for itself. This one, you know, I don't know, maybe if you're making a clock with a very specific output, but it's a lot more, this one's a lot more situational. If you didn't have the design constraint of the exact spacing in these cutouts, then I'd probably lean towards just using a single label. But we happen to have those constraints, and so this helps us here, but I'm not sure it's actually like super generally useful. But the scrolling one, and maybe this one down here, I think, especially if we could make this one scroll vertically too, scroll lines, that would be kind of nice. Those I think could definitely be useful. Appreciate seeing how you manage namespace and class inheritance, areas where I need to build exercise my skill set. Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to. I started working on this without jumping in the stream, and then I was kind of like, well, I'm in the mood to talk about what I'm doing, so I'm happy to stream anytime that's the case. But I figured it might be helpful for folks to see my process of taking the basic display.io components and not like reinventing new widgets all the way. I mean, some of them, like this one, eventually might be a general reuse widget, but even just making these custom ones specific to a project, I thought it'd be nice maybe for folks to see that process I go through to kind of break them down and make them into even like more purpose-built specific objects, but extending the display.io one. So I'm glad that you found that helpful. That definitely is encouragement to me to keep streaming this kind of stuff. So I appreciate you mentioning it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head out for now. I'm definitely real happy with the progress today. We're basically, I mean, this is basically done as far as what I had planned for the UI. We'll maybe go on show and tell this week and show off to Lamore and Phil if they're on, and get feedback from them potentially. This is where the project initially came from. Was PT sent it to me, so we'll see if they're thinking, you know, something wildly different than what I have. But if not, I'm thinking we're probably good on the interface here, and really the parts left on this are actual, you know, read the files off the SD card, play the MP3s, and I think what I'll do is make an invisible UI. I'll make a hidden UI. I think what I'll do is like this whole top quadrant up here, like the top third of the screen maybe, is a invisible touch button that's basically play pause. If you touch up here and you're currently playing, then it'll pause. If you're currently not, like if you're currently paused, then it will resume. And then maybe down at the bottom we have left half, right half. If you touch left half, goes to previous track. If you touch right half, goes to next track. So 3 buttons, you know, logically laid out over the top of this. They're not visually represented in the interface, but if you know they're there, then you can use them. And that gives you a little bit of control over this, you know, even though it's not actually matching up with the real controls, which are way too small, of course. So I think that'll be the plan, which I don't think any of that stuff is going to be too difficult, really. I kind of started with this stuff because I figured it'd be the more, you know, the harder, more intense work, and we're pretty much through it. So happy with where we're at for sure. But I'm ranting a little bit now, so I'm going to head out. Thanks, Cedar Grover. Anybody else who is watching, I appreciate you. And yeah, I will be back definitely on Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Should be the next time I'm back for sure. But you can subscribe to me on Twitch if you want to catch me if I pop on in between then and now. But yeah, thanks. I'll catch you next time.